Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the D-Arts King of Fighters 94 version of Terry Bogard, aka the one that I'm putting in my Smash collection because it's the right scale for my Smash collection, because Storm is too big even though it's an awesome figure. And it's interesting that this came out a long time ago, and it's still an excellent release. You compare this to like the Street Fighter figures that are coming out today, this thing makes those things look silly. It's a really nice figure. That's why I'm reviewing it. I thought it would be nice for you guys to see it up against the one that I reviewed just the other day from Storm. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 15.5 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to, let's say 6 inches. It's close enough. And if you're curious how he scales against the Street Fighter, since I brought him up, and he's also going to be in the Smash collection, it's not perfect. Styling is definitely different, but height-wise, it's pretty close. Obviously, Terry should be bigger, but the Street Fighter figures are bigger than most of the import figures, so they're technically, like Ryu and Ken, are going to be out of scale for the Smash collection anyway, just by a little bit. Terry fits in with like the Figmas, most of them like Link and Samus and them, very nicely. So a little bit out of scale with Street Fighter, that's a bummer, but mostly going to fit in with the Nintendo stuff, and I think that's okay. Plus, you don't have a better option. This is as good as it's going to get scale-wise. Now, aesthetically speaking, as you can see, we have lots of shading throughout the flesh tones. Yeah, the face is a little bit of a lighter color, but that's probably okay. That's maybe even intentional. Lots of artists do that. They brighten the face up to make it stand out. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not, I don't know. His jacket has a little bit of a wash going on, makes it pop a little bit better. That's really nice. The star is clean. These guys are separate pieces, so they're very clean. His hat is super duper clean, even cleaner than the Storm one, and it's smaller and a lot older, so that's cool. His jeans have a little bit of a dry brush effect going on to make them look like jeans. Very nicely wrinkled. They do have a little bit more leg shape to them, which is nice. It was one of the things the Storm one was missing. Overall, it's a very, very clean, very well executed figure. I like the styling. It has a little bit of the same anime look to the face that the Street Fighter figures have, so that is okay. And again, it'll blend in with the Figmas nicely in your Smash collection. All in all, aesthetically speaking, this guy gets a 9 out of 10, especially for the fact that he came out a while ago and was not very expensive, and I'm bummed out I didn't buy it back then, but very, very nicely executed. But wait, there's more. This guy rivals the new Terry as far as accessories go. We have 3 different faces. We have the smirky face, the stern face, and then the yelling face, and that's great. We have 2 different hairs, one that hangs down mostly and one that goes back in more of a straight line for his action poses. Those are nicely done. They actually peg in, so that's good. We have a bunch of different hands. We have 2 fist hands. We have 2 wide open hands. We have 2 clenchy hands. 2 hands for him to grab the top of his, or the front of his hat. We have 1 hand with a rope permanently in it so that he can hold Ryu's bag for him. I think that's what that is, probably. That's cool. We have a bunch of effect parts. We have one that snaps over his wrist that goes in conjunction with the one that goes on his fist, and that gives him his forward punchy attack. I don't remember the names. We have the one thing that goes on the ground, and it's very, like all of these are very saturated, but this one stands out as being very nicely saturated because of the contrast against the front and the back. That's cool. Then we have the geyser, which is very nicely done. It's super saturated, looks wonderful, super duper. And that's it for accessories, except we have 1 replacement butt flap for his butt area, and that is so that you can put a stand in his butt and make him do dynamic poses. That's a bunch of accessories, and they're all excellent. They're so good. So this guy gets a 10 out of 10 for accessories. They're wonderful, but wait, there's more. And you're thinking I'm going to talk about the articulation, but I'm not going to do that yet. There's something else I want to show you for those of you who happen to be a fan of Terry Bogard and are going to buy both figures and also play him in Smash. Here's his geyser that came with him. Normal size geyser, relatively small. That makes sense. But if you've played Smash, or maybe it's like this in the game too that he's from, I don't know Terry that well. He has a super gigantic one, and if you use the one from the Storm collectibles, then you get his like super move once his meter is activated. And like I said, this one's not as saturated. I mentioned that in the review, and the new one is, or old one is, but this is still much better in scale, so you can do that. But wait, we also have the Storm collectibles Punchy Punch one. So if you wanted him to have, let's just throw it against him and knock him down. There's the one that comes with him, and now you get an even bigger one, and maybe you could even like wedge it on there somehow, I don't know, but now you get the super move version of it, which is when he yells Buster Wolf and punches everybody, and it's awesome. So there you go, some options. figure out how to make them work, and I think you'll be a happy camper. I know I am. Okay, now it's time for the articulation, which is not the best part of the figure, but it's good enough. The hair does just peg in, so it'll pop out fairly easily. Most likely it will while you're posing him, but it's just a ball peg, so it snaps right back in and you can move it around. Mostly just going to rotate. If you try to lean it, it pops out very easily. Like I said, it's not the best thing in the world, but it does peg in all the way, unlike the Storm Collectibles one. The head is on just a single ball peg, but you get really nice range. The neck is also on a ball peg, so you can move it around really well. No problems there at all. Shoulders, definitely not the best design. It's much like the Street Fighter figures where you have a tiny joint and a big shoulder, not the best. But because of his jacket and torn sleeves, it's pretty well hidden, and you can rotate the arms all the way around. You can raise them up all the way to the side. The only place you're really lacking is in the bicep swivel, and he still has some, and that's on par with the Street Fighter figures for some of them. So that's okay. The only downside is he does not have the swivel in the elbow like the Street Fighter figures. He just has the normal double jointed elbow, which is a nice elbow, but you're gonna be limited in your bicep swivel for sure. I think you'll be able to pose him well enough. It would be nice to have a bicep swivel, but they did a good job with the sculpt, and it definitely is okay. For the wrists, we just have a swivel and a hinge. They're old school hingey wrists. I think those are fine as long as the hinge is in the right direction for the wrist you're using, or for the hand you're using, that's okay. It feels to me like it's just a single ball peg, could be a double though, and then another single one down here. He doesn't have the best range in the torso. You're not gonna be able to do much with him, but there's some range to be had, just mostly none. Be aware there's mostly no range in there. For the hips, it's our old school SH Figuarts / D-Art Bandai hips, which are drop down hinges, so they're hinge ball pegs. This one seems to be a lot more limited and floppy. This one is not as bad, so you can drop it down. Don't like drop down hips, but that's what he has. Only about 45 degrees out to the side. You can bring the leg pretty far forward. You'll be able to get enough posing done to do your kicks and stuff like they have on the packaging. It's not great, but it's definitely okay. You have a floating cap in there to hide the joint, so it's fine. It's not good, it's fine. The knees are pretty decent though. You get better than 90 degrees out of them. They're not the best looking knees, but they're not bad. Again, this is an older figure. I think that's okay. Now here is one of our problems. The pants are all firm plastic, and the ankle does lean back pretty far, but it doesn't go forward very far at all. You do also get a decent ankle rocker out of it, and that's going to work pretty well even with the pants the way they are. But here's what you can do. This whole ankle foot situation is just pegged in with a standard ball peg right about there. So if you warm this up just a little bit, I wouldn't go crazy, it'll pop right out. I popped mine out without warming it up. Do that at your own risk. But if you do that, you can bend the foot forward more and then peg it back in, and it might bind against this, so you have to be careful with the shoelaces, but you will be able to move the ankle a little bit farther forward. So it is very limited, but there is kind of a workaround. And then you do also get a solid toe hinge, which is nicely done. So not the best articulation in the world. It'll definitely get the job done though. And the other things like the articulation, good job, say the same thing twice. The accessories and the aesthetic definitely make up for it. So I'm very pleased. Did I rate the articulation? I didn't. 6.5, 7. It's not great. It'll do, but it's not great. All right, now it's time for the final verdict on this figure. I love it personally a whole bunch. I'm so happy I have it. I'm very bummed out I didn't have it sooner because I've been missing out all this time on the awesomeness that is this figure. However, it does have its drawbacks, mostly in the articulation department, a few issues here and there, but it's still clean as heck, super fun, plenty of accessories, and it's a necessary addition to the Smash collection now. That part at least is subjective, so that doesn't count. But the objective stuff does want me to give him an 8 out of 10. I'd like to go 9, but the articulation limitations do hold it back. But 8 out of 10 is more than fair, and this guy is a super duper awesome figure. Get it if you don't have it type of thing. I love it, and I think you will too. You can let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, I just want to point out his alternate heads don't come with hats. You have to swap out the hat, and every time I do that, it makes me think of this meme right there, which is definitely inappropriate, but also super funny. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should, because I have new videos out just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.